I think there's pretty much one more thing that we need to do to really sell this, and that is actually closer to the beginning, because there's sort of a magical element to this, and I want to up the ante on that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to where there's magic, and so we have this intersection analysis. We have two of these, so I'm going to go here and I want to look at this. There should be one that's going around the bottom, and there should be lines going around the edge. And so if we go back to where stuff is actually happening, we can see, yes, there's this stuff growing out. Interesting, we've lost our bottom here. Okay, so I have screwed something up here, and that's okay. We're gonna have to just kind of roll with it here. So what I had done is I had created blasts, but since I changed the set geo after the fact, since everything's so cached out, it hasn't cascaded down to cause a problem. But what we can do here is, and this is why you should probably usually work as procedurally as possible, but if we select this here, this is probably deleting some primitives somewhere, but I can't see where. So now we need to kind of go back in here. We need to count down and say 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it's here. We're going to delete that out. We're going to select all that, delete non-selected, don't need that, still need this. And now if we go down here, we should have our intersection geo back. Yep, that looks good. So sorry about that, guys. It was one of the steps that I kind of forgot wasn't cast out and had been worked on. And then once it was altered, it changed things. Whenever you're dealing with blasts, you got to make sure that your selection stays the same. So here, I don't know what this is blasting out. We don't really need to worry about it. This is all working as one would expect. So let's go back down. And now if we view this, we should be able to see, yes, we have all of this. Okay. So this geo here, we want to render this. So I'm going to take this. I don't think we need the trail. It takes a while for it to actually trail. I forget how many sub-steps we have. I'm just going to kill this. We're just going to do the one and see how that looks. So we're going to resample, and then what we're going to do is we're going to make a null and do out light geo. I'm going to create an object merge. I'm going to click and drag this up here, turn off export relative path, cut this, and then up here where our lights are, we're going to do light. Or we're going to do geometry, light geo. I'm going to paste this in here. And now we are going to give this a color. Something like this. I want it to be pretty saturated. I think that should be fine. Do null, out, light geo, render. And then we're going to select this, and we are going to create geometry light. We'll just keep these guys together. And we're going to render light geometry. One of the things that we are going to have to do though is we're going to make a point wrangle. We're just going to adjust the P scale uniformly. So we're going to do channel float, scale. And then our scale is actually going to be pretty low. We're going to do 0.001. And so let's go back to here where we're going to go to our test. We're going to render light geometry. We'll see if this works. If not, we can just assign a constant to this, but I think this should be fine. Area size is fine. We'll change the intent. We'll make exposure 1 and just see what happens. I'm going to go to out. I'm going to go to manual so that we can go to a spot. Actually, we're in a good spot. So now we're going to go back to our test. I'm going to go to objects, set geo, ice cloud. And now we're going to, actually we have our candidate lights, so let's see what happens. Oh boy, I went too far. All right, so we don't want an exposure of 1. We want an exposure of 0. And for intensity, we're going to make this 0.1. And now we're going to see what that looks like. So I had to stop and then restart the render because I couldn't really see if this geo was showing up in the render, and I was tired of waiting for all the reflections and stuff to happen with the set geo. So I isolated it to just the ice. And now I did a few things to make sure that we can actually see this line as it grows out, because this line is sort of the edge in which it turns the water into ice, and it grows up with these ice crystals. And I think that's going to look cool and sort of magical. The problem is that the P scale was too low. I had it at 0.001. At 0.01, I think it's probably too high, but not by much. So I'm going to say it's 0.075. And then another thing that I did is it didn't seem like the light geo was showing up. I'm still not entirely certain if it was, but just to err on the safe side, I gave light geo a constant shader, and then in out, I just made sure that I'm rendering light geo. Could be doing the same thing as just rendering with light geo, but I'm just making sure that it's there. Looks like it's there. I'm happy with it.